Welcome to a New Year's Eve CreatureGuide live stream. We were having technical difficulties, so we're going to start from the beginning. So let's get into some fun animal news. From discoverwildlife.com, they began to circle the building, aggressively tapping their trunks along the walls. I heard rips and the sound of dropping coming from my floor or from my room. Wildlife biologist Stephanie Shuttler had a shocking wake-up call when a herd of angry giants paid a visit. So let's take a look at what's her. Um, why isn't the thing showing up? Wait, still am? Right. Okay. So it seems to be we have an African forest elephant. These are very aggressive creatures, a bit more so than even the savanna elephants in many populations. In 2008, I was doing PhD research on African forest elephants in Lope National Park, Gabon. I would identify them by tusk shape, ear tiers, and ear vein patterns, note their group size, and collect dung for DNA analysis. The goal was to determine if they have networks and associate with relatives over other individuals. So, if you're looking at Western Africa and specifically more of the um, area adjacent to the Congo, Gabon is just south of Cameroon and north of the country of Angola. And all these countries are north of South Africa. You could say they're a bit more adjacent to Nigeria. The elephants would often come into our field station camp late at night once our generator was turned off. The cabin walls were paper thin with screen windows, and I enjoyed listening to them and watching them eating the fruits of the Succoglottis gabonensis trees outside. Also, when it comes to the country of Gabon, if you're looking at the different national parks within this region, especially Lope National Park, is not to confuse it with Limpopo because you could say with the L's and P's in both names, some might confuse the two national parks. Limpopo National Park is over in Mozambique, and Lope National Park being Gabon. It's a thriving animal sanctuary. Um, there are different populations of forest buffalo within the region, as well as the different species of antelope within the area, which were once quite rare, have rebounced, and even the forest elephants within the region. I don't believe there are any lions at the moment within this area, but there are leopards. So let's take a look. However, one night I was woken by the elephants, and immediately they sounded much more bellicose than usual, thrashing about the camp. There are different populations of elephants, especially ones that are or they've grown up amongst certain safari lodges. They're actually quite careful and polite when it comes to the furniture and all the decorations around the lodge, and they just lightly touch it. If anything, the worst that they do is just um, dry out the pool that you have.
Wait,
But
they're chlorinated elephants?
yeah, they like it. But I guess you could say that happens, I guess, in most safari lodges that are adjacent to elephants. However, forest elephants, as well as even certain populations of savanna elephants, will be quite rude and just come in and take out your camp, even if you mean no harm. So let's see. Before long, they were around by the kitchen area. I could tell by the sound of glass breaking. Then I could hear them outside the bathroom, bending the metal pipes. They were beginning to circle the building, aggressively tapping their trunks along the walls. Suddenly, one of them was right behind me. Hmm. Yeah, that's a freaky situation with the forest elephant. As I jumped out of bed and across to the door, wait, what? Oh, is this person by chance in one of those safari tents? And then, like the T Rex in the Lost World, it's just like, hello. It just pops up. Yeah, that's freaky. I heard rips and the sounds of planks dropping coming from my room. It was breaking through the wooden window. Guess I don't know. Did you kidnap an elephant calf? Because they kidnapped the T Rex. Anyway, I rushed out into my colleague's room next door. We didn't know what to do. You can shoe elephants by banging pots and pans, but these seemed much too aggressive for that. Surprised you didn't have one of those. What is it like? Beehive sounds. They tend to do very well in deterring elephants. We lit a candle so we could at least see what was going on, but then we heard a rumble. A call used by elephants is largely infrasonic, which means it's sort of low frequency sound. See, below the human level of hearing. Clearly, the elephants didn't like the candle, so I quickly blew it out. That's, I guess, not surprising because fires don't really occur very often within these regions. So let's keep going. A loud trumpet sounded, followed by the sound of heavy footsteps. Luckily, they were going in the right direction. Elephants actually they have a great ability to sneak up on you because of the fat cushion pads on their feet. So it pretty much absorbs the sound. The same thing would have happened with different species of larger mammoths, mastodons, other larger elephant species, and even different species of dinosaurs. They could have snuck up on you. But what's probably happening is that he's hearing a lot of twigs and leaves snapping, and these elephants are in, for some reason, they're attacking the area. I don't know exactly what happened, but that candle or maybe our talking made them want to leave. Probably. Um, well, if you were quiet beforehand because that wasn't hitting me, it could have been a combination of both. In 25 years, there had never been an attack on the field station. Wow. Sheesh, something occurred. My DNA analysis later showed that their dung matched no other elephants in the study, and we were never able to identify which group they were or why they damaged our cabin that night. So it looks like a completely different herd of elephants just showed up. They weren't familiar with the station and yeah, just caused havoc. So that's the end. Interesting.
Well, at least I guess they didn't sit on anybody.
Yeah, but we do know that there's a militia herd of elephants in the area. So
That just sounds funny.
yeah, they're probably looking for trying to shoot leopards or something. Anyway, well, the joke is that you have other forest elephants herds in the Congo. Maybe it was just one of those groups. Maybe they're terrorist elephants. Anyway, let's go to the next one. There's somewhere around 100,000 to 150,000 forest elephants. So fewer than the savanna elephant population. I don't believe there's been a recent update on the savanna elephant population. It's sticking somewhere around 300 to 420,000. And then the Asian elephant population is also hasn't really changed, at least in recent estimates, somewhere between 30 to 50,000. So let's go on to the next article from ScienceDaily.com. A scary new spider species found beneath California's beaches. Hidden beneath California's sand, a secretive new trapdoor spider species reveals both evolutionary mystery and ecological peril. So, UC Davis scientists uncovered Apatocycus ramirezi. This sounds like a species crocodilomorph, but it's an arachnid. A new trapdoor spider species living under California's dunes. Genetic analysis revealed it was distinct from its close relative, Apatocycus simus. I mean, there are thousands of different species of spiders and even more arachnid species. Also, spiders are more closely related to, I believe, fleas and horseshoe crabs, as well as scorpions, than they are to insects.
What about ticks?
Oh, um, I'm not sure about that one. The species was named after pioneering arachnologist Martina Ramirez. Researchers warned that shrinking coastal habitats could threaten both species' survival. Out of all the decreasing habitats, I haven't heard of California's, I mean, putting aside, development, um, unless that's what it's referring to. I haven't heard of decreasing coastal habitats within the region. Not necessarily now unhealthy, unhealthy coastal habitat. Yes, but anyway. So here's the Apatocycus ramirezi. Interesting. So let's see. So the species named ramirezi is closely related to Simus. Let's give you the genus because in this instance, the species is the more important thing to know, which occurs along the shoreline from Monterey to Baja California, Mexico. Oh, okay. I was thinking of literally California, not Mexico. Okay. So, findings published in the journal Ecology and Evolution indicate that what long appeared to be a single species is actually two. While there are over 50,000 species of spiders worldwide, there are probably hundreds of thousands left to be discovered. Um, that might be an overestimate, but who knows? Even along the coast where new spider species may be hiding just underfoot of California beachgoers. Trapdoor spiders are small, secretive relatives of tarantulas. Females spend their entire lives underground, silk lined burrows that close with a hinged, well camouflaged door. They wait motionless for surface vibrations, darting out only when prey strays within reach.
I didn't know you studied spiders.
Yeah, occasionally. Think also it boosted a certain large species that occurred over 30 million years ago, as well as far back as 315 million years ago during the Carboniferous period.
Didn't you tell me that there were spiders then weren't any bigger than the spiders now?
Um, Unless I'm mistaking it was something, there was a certain genus that was vastly oversized. Like they made it out like this thing could hunt cats today, and that's far from the truth. There's also no evidence to show that these species back in the Carboniferous were venomous. It's always possible, but there's at least no evidence for that so far. But it does seem like during possibly the Oligocene and the Miocene epochs, so this is about 30 to 35 million years after the dinosaurs, well, 30 to 40 million years after the dinosaurs went extinct, and there were certain large species bigger than today's. And that is referring to the body, not just the legs. There are now four known species of trapdoor spiders in California that live exclusively in coastal dune habitats. The one we were looking at as part of this study was the most widespread, ranging from Moss Landing near Monterey down to Baja California, which is a pretty wide range for a trapdoor spider, given that they don't easily leave their burrows to disperse. So let's take a deeper look. At the moment, I don't have much to say about this specific spider. Especially like the the family itself, I haven't taken too much of a dive into. To test whether lookalike spiders were masking more than one species, Joe Kim and colleagues examined genomic DNA from Apatocycus cymus collected throughout its range. Bond had long suspected the presence of cryptic species, a term for species that appear similar but are genetically distinct. The team considered both genetic evidence and where populations occur. Cryptic species are reproductively isolated. Based on what we know about their natural history and lifestyles, they're not going to be able to disperse to different coastal dunes to reproduce and mix with each other. Well, I guess on the bright side, as long as there is a sustainable population of them and they have a decent amount of genetic variety, um, that's not necessarily a bad thing. I mean, um, they'll just continue to reproduce and they'll have their own thing. Professor Jason Bond decided to name the new brown chunky quarter-sized spider Apatocycus ramirezi. Bond is no stranger to naming new spider species. The arachnologist named species after celebrities, musicians, photographers, and even magicians. Actually, that's even happened with not just these arachnids, but even certain species of mammals, certain species of dinosaurs, reptiles. So, yeah, this isn't surprising. Notables include Apatocycus Stephen Colberti or Myrmecophly Neil Youngi and Apatocycus Barack
Wait,
Obama.
didn't you just do a video about
Jagger.
yeah, Mick Jagger
Yeah.
being what was that? I don't remember.
It's a species of mammalian Anthracotherium from the Miocene epoch. So it's around somewhere between 20 to 26 million years ago. But okay, yeah, it's like a lot of the time though, there were different species of scientists that tend to be named after them, like different um, species of horned ceratopsian that were named after like who's it? Anyway, he's scientist isn't hitting me. Hold on, let's see. Is there anything else? Hmm. Okay, it just seems to be that, they're being a little repetitive. Okay, well, that was interesting. Let's go to the next article. So, from ecots.com, the mystery of the extinction of the largest ape that ever walked the earth has finally been solved. Let me guess. Gigantopithecus? It seems that way. Okay. So, for decades, the extinction of Gigantopithecus blacki has been one of paleontology's biggest unsolved stories. That basically goes for most species of extinct animals. At least before the Holocene epoch, so before 11,000 years ago. This enormous ape, often compared to a real-world King Kong, stood close to 3 meters tall and weighed around 200 to 300 kilograms. So it's possible that Gigantopithecus could reach a height of around 10 feet, which is what 3 meters is. But yes, it could weigh somewhere between 600 to 700 pounds. And despite its size and looking at the tooth structure, it looks like this animal was mostly feeding on different species of fruit in the regions of China that inhabited the Pliocene epoch. And so this was around 3 million years ago when this large ape existed. And it's, really a big guess, like, how long would the youngsters stay with their mothers? Orangutans, when it comes to the males, I believe they can stay with their mothers somewhere between, 14 to 18 years.
This thing is huge.
Yeah, it just tends to have more of a orangutan sort of, um, depiction to it. I don't think I've ever seen a black Gigantopithecus or, one that looks like a chimp, but it also has completely different
How
skull
large do
structure.
orangutans get?
Um, I think a little over 200 pounds.
That's it?
Yeah, somewhere around there.
So this thing is so
Western lowland gorillas can reach somewhere around 430 pounds, or a
this is still almost twice the size.
little over 210 kilograms. Yes. And it did deal with different species of cat in the region related to today's tigers. So let's see. Um, Now a large international team has finally pinned down when and why this giant vanished, and their answer carries a clear warning for today's biodiversity crisis. Yeah, sure. Researchers working in southern China combined 6 different dating techniques on cave sediments and fossils from 22 sites in Guangxi province. They show that Gigantopithecus disappeared between 295,000 and 215,000 years ago, after thriving in the region for more than 2 million years. The team describes this extinction window as the moment when a once successful specialist could no longer cope with a rapidly changing environment. That is interesting. So this is still, you could say it's late Pleistocene, but there are actually a wide range of different species of large mammals that still would not have evolved at this late into the Ice Age. It is quite interesting. Somewhere around 260,000 years ago, the ape mysteriously went extinct. But there were other species of large animals that continued to thrive. Paleontologist Yingkai Zhang from the Chinese Academy of Sciences calls the mystery of the ape's disappearance the holy grail in this discipline. Okay. For more than 85 years, scientists had only teeth and a few jawbones to work with, plus rough age estimates. Yeah, that was the thing which I banned Antipithecus for a while, was that it was just a handful of fragments. And that is the case for many species of large mammals, prehistoric large mammals. For more than 85 years, scientists had only teeth and a few jawbones to work with, plus rough age estimates. Without accurate dates, it was impossible to know whether climate shifts, competition, or early humans were to blame. As geochronologist Kyra Westway explains, without robust dating, you were simply looking for clues in the wrong places. Well, the human theory has never made sense. Just simply didn't have the technology back then. Also, it's just didn't make sense for, um, like, a species of primate to, wipe out a certain species or several, and what are they gonna do what are they gonna do with all that hide? But anyway, it's just
Well, they're also
it's
huge.
yeah, but it's beyond that. It's almost I would think that they already had the brains, just like the cats, the canids, to know that, you just simply don't do that, either else you have no more food, the landscape barren.
But do you think
It's
they'd actually been eating them?
what, Gigantopithecus? I have no idea about, the hominids within this part of Asia at this time. Were there any? That's just not my field. The new study paints a detailed picture of the world Gigantopithecus once copied. Pollen grains, microcharcoal, fossil animals, and cave sediments reveal that from around 2.3 million years ago, the landscape was a rich mosaic of evergreen and deciduous forests mixed with patches of grassland. These productive habitats could support several primate species at once, including the giant ape and its close relative, the orangutan, Pongo widenreich. Well, there are 3 different species of orangutan, so, just not hitting me at the moment what species that is. Over time, that balance started to shift. Between roughly 700,000, 600,000 years ago, the climate in southern China became more seasonal and drier. Well, this is still somewhere around, over 300,000 years before it seems Gigantopithecus went extinct.
So wait a minute, the climate shifted without people?
Yes, yeah, what a surprise. Forest communities changed, disturbance-tolerant plants spread, and forests opened into more mixed woodland and grassland. By about 200,000 years ago, arboreal cover had decreased sharply, ferns and grasses expanded, and charcoal levels rose, signaling more frequent fires. Oh, I forget that you're able to distinguish in different sediments when it comes to the soils of different regions. Um, the amount of charcoal in different areas, and yes, it indicates like the more that there is, the more likely that fires were a much more seasonal thing, more likely a seasonal thing. Within this changing landscape, Gigantopithecus began to struggle. I mean, if you take away his force, he's pretty much done. The fossil record shows its range shrinking until it survived only in parts of Huangshan. At the same time, I wonder how they know that. Yeesh, how many fossils have they found recently? At the same time, the number of Gigantopithecus teeth found in caves drops relative to those of Pongo, sign that populations of the giant ape were already dwindling. Well, I mean, like I said, how many are you finding? I think it's a big question as to where specifically he might have existed last. But yeah, it's very likely that these changes in the climate and as well as the ecology of the ecosystem that Gigantopithecus, as well as the other herbivores in the region, it's what was happening during this part of the Pleistocene. So let's see. And it just had a massive impact on them. Dental evidence reveals why the two apes had such different fates. Microwear textures on molars and the chemistry of tooth enamel suggests that both species originally lived in closed canopy forests and relied heavily on fruit, with fibrous plant material as backup food. As fruit became scarcer, Pongo shifted toward a more flexible diet and moved into increasingly open seasonal habitats. Huh. So is the wait, Pongo wait, is Pongo, I think, is that the orangutan? Are we talking about I'm a bit confused at the moment. Gigantopithecus took another route. It remained tied to closed forests and leaned more on tough, low-quality fallback foods. Yeah, that's unfortunate. Trace elements in its teeth change from clear, regular bands to blurred, diffuse patterns near the extinction window, which the authors interpret as a signal of long-term dietary stress and less reliable access to water. Yeesh, this just sounds sad now. This is like what was happening with the, dwarf mammoths over on different islands on their, um, last generation, so, um, yeah, this is unfortunate. In simple terms, the giant ape was eating enough to survive in the short term, but not enough to stay healthy and resilient. Body size and lifestyle added to the problem. Gigantopithecus was exclusively terrestrial, massive, and probably slow-moving. Terrestrial meaning that it inhabited, it's a land-dwelling animal. Something is aquatic, it primarily inhabits the water or only exists in the water. Semi-aquatic means you can go back and forth from land to water. Alligators, crocodiles are semi-aquatic. They do need to come to land at some point.
So this thing wasn't a boreal.
No, at least it doesn't look like it was up in the trees. Let's see. You could have had it maybe youngsters were, but doesn't seem like adults. That combination meant higher energy demands, reduced mobility, and likely lower reproduction rates compared with lighter, more agile orangutans. When forests became patchier and more open, this specialist could not easily track resources across the landscape. One striking conclusion of the study is what did not happen. Unlike many later megafaunal extinctions in Australia and the Americas, there is no evidence that humans or archaic hominins played a role in wiping out Gigantopithecus. Okay. This seems to be coming out more recently. Yeah, it doesn't seem like any hominids were a part of this. That's interesting. The species vanished long before our own kind transformed ecosystems across Southeast Asia. Talking about farming?
For people that don't know what a hominid is,
Oh, it's a wide range of different species of human relatives. So things like Homo erectus, Homo neanderthal, Homo florensis. There's a wide range of different species of hominids, and they extend over 3 million years at least. Instead, the giant ape's fate was sealed by increasing environmental variability combined with an inflexible way of life. As the authors put it, Gigantopithecus was the ultimate specialist. That strategy worked as long as evergreen forests stayed stable. Once those forests began to fragment and change, the very traits that made the ape impressive became liabilities. Yeah, it was too much of a specialist. But also, this also seems to be just an extreme change, not, a certain slight one. There are certain animals that I wouldn't say that this is a certain ecosystem where, um, I guess this is or maybe it just isn't a good extinction to, call pathetic. I mean, there are certain species of lemurs today, like a certain species of bamboo lemur that really only feeds on one species of bamboo. So if you take away that species, it's finished. There's nothing the bamboo lemur can do. It doesn't even matter if it has a thriving population. You just took away its only food source. Whereas this Gigantopithecus was probably feeding on a wide range of different fruits. It's likely it was thriving through different forested habitats within China, different parts of East Asia at this point, and then there was just simply this massive change. So this is
didn't you
just
tell me koalas? It was something like that where they actually feed on multiple different types of
Well, they feed on, over 30 different species of eucalyptus over in Eastern Australia.
they always made it sound like there was only one eucalyptus. That's always got to be where I'm that and the,
Panda?
yeah.
Yeah, it's like pandas. They also feed on a wide range of different species of bamboo. They're also slightly omnivorous. It's also possible Gigantopithecus might have been slightly omnivorous too. But this is just a massive change of ecosystems. You're going from forest to grassland. That helps these types of animals. The story of Gigantopithecus is, let's see, blah, blah, blah. Okay. Um, I think that's it. Yeah, that's it. Okay, let's head over to the next article. Okay, from petapixel.com. Grizzly bear filmed having a strange reaction to trail camera. Let's take a look. I mean, sometimes they're a bit relaxed and sometimes they can be quite aggressive, but this seems distinct. This grizzly bear had a bizarre response to a trail camera set up by Yukon wildlife cams. The grizzly bear was filmed having a peculiar and unexplained reaction to a motion sensor trail camera in Yukon, Canada. So, for those of you that do not know where the Yukon is, it is over in the northwestern part of Canada, most northwestern province, just adjacent to Alaska. And there's only like 30 to 40,000 people in the whole area. I think it's like 110,000 square miles. So let's see. The footage captured in late October and shared on Facebook earlier this month shows a grizzly bear confronting a trail camera set up by Yukon wildlife cams. I'll be honest, I'm not sure what is going on here for the most part. I've never seen similar behavior from a grizzly. This series of clips begins with a peculiar reaction from a grizzly that quickly moves in to remove the rain cover from my camera. You can hear the Velcro separating. He's almost acting like a wolf in that instance. It's like, I
Now
need.
does it have a light on him?
Um, I wonder about those. Mm. It is interesting how many of these, animals, once they know they're on a live stream, they immediately blend.
That was good.
Or he's rubbing his scent slightly. Oh, he is really trying to clean it. Like,
He just wants to look good on camera.
he's, like, acting like a wolf. He's jumping all over the place. This thing's a Yeah, I don't get it. You okay? Okay, I'm
He's dancing.
uh, I okay, I'm not sure what's going on. That was a bit concerning. Let's take a look if there was anything else. Um, okay. Let's see. The grizzly then moves forward toward the device and removes the rain cover. Sound of Velcro separating can be heard. The animal paws at the the animal paws at the camera several times before picking up the rain cover. It then appears to play with the cover briefly before walking away into the darkness. Troop further explains the sequence of events in the trail camera footage, writing this series of clips begins with a peculiar reaction from a grizzly that quickly moves in to remove the rain cover from my camera, then paused several times to the camera, but my method of connecting cams to trees proves superior. It then picks up the rain cover and appears to play with it before lumbering into the night. The video has garnered over 360,000 views and hundreds of comments on Facebook since being published on the platform by Yukon Wildlife Camps. Many social media users try to offer their own explanations for the grizzly bear's behavior. One viewer suggests maybe the camera is emitting some sort of ultrasonic or clicking sound that is disturbing him. This happens a lot to a lot of our cameras from our coastal black bears. I'm guessing this is referring to certain black bears on the coast of either the northern Yukon or he has some over on the coast of British Columbia, maybe Manitoba. I have no idea. Despite it being called Yukon Wildlife Cams, maybe they set up in different provinces as well.
Somebody somebody said, "Oh, goody," because bears aren't bad enough.
They hear the click and smell it. They treat it as a threat and a new smell in their marked territories. They will engage. Looks like this guy got spooked and left without wanting to turn his back. This behavior is my guess. Super cool video. Okay. Well, let's go over to the next one. Okay, so from Sci News, new species of Triassic armor-plated reptile unearthed in Brazil. A new genus and species of Pseudosuchian archosaur has been identified from the fossil remains found in southern Brazil. There were a wide range of different species of Pseudosuchians during the Mesozoic era, so during the time of the dinosaurs, from around 200 and 50 million years ago to around 66 million years ago, but the dinosaurs evolved around 235 million years ago. And these specific archosaurs also first popped up at around the same time. The archosaurs are the lineage of reptiles, first evolving somewhere around the very late Permian, so around 252 million years ago, and then would spread out to different species of crocodilomorphs, including our alligators and crocodiles today, different species of birds, and then non-avian dinosaurs like Brachiosaurus T. rex, as well as the flying pterosaurs like pterodactyl and pteranodon. So, wow, who do we have here? Jeesh, this guy looks like a menace. Tainaraquasuchus balater lived in what is now Brazil during the Triassic, some 240 million years ago. So this could be right before the dinosaurs first evolved. This ancient predator measured approximately 2.4 meters or 8 feet long and weighed 60 kilograms. I'm guessing somewhere around 125, 130 pounds. So for the time, and also different species of proto-mammals at this point, this thing was a bit of a menace. Wouldn't take on the largest creatures at this point, but a decent amount of prey species. The species had a back covered by bony plates known as osteoderms. So this is referring to the armor that you see on the back of this animal. That's what also today's crocodilomorphs are covered in as well. Oh, yeah, the osteoderms practically cover his whole body. And it even seems that they're making his under armor even more robust than what you see in today's crocodiles, alligators, garrels, even animals such as reptiles like the crocodile monitors, Komodo dragons also have osteoderms as well. They're just not as peculiar as those that you'll see on something like a caiman or One of those freshwater crocodiles over in Australia are distinct from the saltwater crocodiles. Tend to have and somewhat like a bit of a Garrel sort of appearance to them.
What do you think about the feet they're giving him?
Yeah, they look pretty good. I mean, they do look very, uh, almost they do have an Archosaur look to them. Now, when it comes to the Archosaurs that were still, members of the Crocodilomorph family, and that is Pseudotsuchians are Crocodilomorphs. This animal, technically, I guess you could maybe it's just not a it's just one of those land-dwelling crocodilomorphs, so he probably didn't spend much time in the water. Maybe just simply cooled down. It was Pangea at this point, so all of the continents were connected, and, you still might have had cooler regions within different parts of the poles. Oh, and anyway, let's keep going.
Wait, this was still Pangea during this time?
Oh, yeah, 240,000,000 years ago, it was, the continents were heavily connected to Gondwana land, Laurasia. So let's see, um it used its long neck and agile mobility to prey on victims using quick and precise movements, before gripping its prey using its slender jaw profile full of sharp, recurved teeth to hold the target, preventing them from escaping. This animal was an active predator, but despite its relatively large size, it was far from the largest hunter of its time, with the same ecosystem, home to giants as big as 7 meters to 23 feet long. This point in the Triassic period, and remember, this is within the first 10, 11 million years. I don't know what terrestrial carnivore this could be. It's definitely not a dinosaur. I'm guessing it's another species of crocodilomorph. It's just not hitting me at the moment. Definitely was not a proto mammal, and um, and not a pterosaur. Tangrak.
Did you just say not a pterosaur?
Well, yeah, they hadn't evolved yet. Kenrockwasuchus balander was a member of Pseudotsuchiae, precursors of modern crocodiles and alligators. Now, remember, this is not referring to Tankrockosuchus being the ancestor of today's crocodiles and alligators. That was a completely different lineage of the Pseudosuchians. Tanrockosuchus, at least at the moment, we have no idea whether or not he would cling on to or he would create a massive lineage. Would they go extinct at the end of the Triassic around 201 million years ago? Would they continue? Certain pseudosuchians made it as late as the well, not including today's crocodilians and alligators. You're talking about specifically terrestrial ones, made it as late as the Pliocene epoch, around 3 million years ago. So let's see. So Pseudotsuchiae were a diverse group of animals capable of tackling robust prey as well as small hunters specialized in catching swift animals. There were a wide range of different types of Pseudotsuchians. Some were very small, like barely a couple of pounds, and then others also very skinny, like very lightly built. I mean, they barely had a core. They were so just physically skinny. Although its appearance superficially resembles that of a dinosaur, you could say that possibly the head somewhat. I could see maybe where somebody might mistake it for something like a megalosaur at first glance. Certain species of carnosaurs, maybe even allosaurs, you're definitely not going to confuse this with like
Are you just referencing the skull?
yeah, but the rest of it, it's very distinct from any species of dinosaur. So let's see. Where were we? Okay. So one of the clearest ways for us to distinguish it from dinosaurs lies in the structure of the pelvis, where the characteristics of its hip and femur joints are very different. Well, there's more than that, but depending on what you have a certain individual, yes. Tanarakazuka's letter's discovery represents the complexity of the ecosystem at the time, with different Pseudotsuchiae species varying in sizes and hunting strategies, occupying specific ecological niches. Its discovery helps illuminate a key moment in the history of life, the period that preceded the rise of the dinosaurs. Um, yeah, I guess you could say early Triassic, late Permian. A partial skeleton of Tenorachwasuchus palator, preserving parts of the lower jaw, vertebral column, and pelvic girdle, was found in May 2025 in the municipality of Dona Francisca in southern Brazil. Oh, okay. So it was this year. I was thinking maybe it was a specimen we had found years before, and it finally just didn't. It finally had a deep analysis done on it, and they just gave the animal a genus and species name.
But is it Brazil we've been finding all that stuff in, or is it somewhere else?
Possibly quite a few different species of archosaurs as well as dinosaurs do come from Brazil, and especially in Triassic layers, there are a wide range of different types of Herrerasaur specimens that come from there.
No, I meant
Um,
there were you've done a number of videos where
Certain species of sauropods too. Even different species of like the short-armed bellysaurs. Let's see. Oh, Argentina. Um, Probably gets many more species of dinosaurs
that
than
may be
Brazil
what I
does,
was thinking.
especially from the Cretaceous period and the Middle Cretaceous as well, somewhere around 97 to 102 million years ago. Wide range of different species of sauropods come from there. So long necks, like Littlefoot, the brontosaurus. Okay, so although the animal's limbs were not preserved, the expert team believe like its close relatives and moved on all four limbs. This is good to note because different species of pseudosuchian it looks like were bipedal, or at least different species of this wide branch of archosaurs in general. Like they did not have the ability to support any of their weight on their forelimbs, and then others like this individual did. So let's keep going. Tanraquasuchus belator's discovery is further evidence of the ancient connection between Brazil and Africa during the Triassic period, when the world's continents were united into a single supercontinent, Pangaea. Despite the diversity of pseudosuchians, they remain poorly understood, as fossils of some of their lineages are quite or extremely rare in the fossil record. So, it also depends. The Triassic was a really good time for these pseudosuchians. They still thrived into the Jurassic and Cretaceous. They just tend to be a bit more noticeable in the Triassic, so somewhere between 201 to around 250 million years ago. But still, a wide range of different species in the rest of the Mesozoic. Some species reaching over 30 feet in length or pushing a little over 9 meters. So let's see. The fossils we found underwent a meticulous preparation process in the laboratory, during which the surrounding rock was carefully removed. Once the anatomical details were revealed, we were delighted and really excited to reveal that the specimen represented a species previously unknown to science. What we uncovered was a species that belongs to a predator closely related to one Mandasuchus tanyakin, found in Tanzania. Oh yeah, a wide range of different Triassic species come from Tanzania. So Tanzania is over in Eastern Africa. And so when you look at the map, it's just south of Kenya, and this is also where the Serengeti takes place, wildebeest and zebra migration. But as well as a wide range, different Permian and Triassic specimens as well. This connection between animals from South America and Africa can be understood in light of the Triassic period's paleogeography. At that time, the continents were still united, which allowed the free dispersal of organisms across regions that are now separated by oceans. As a result, the faunas of Brazil and Africa shared several common elements, reflecting an intertwined evolutionary and ecological history. So at this point, well, slightly later, you probably had to where different species of early dinosaurs as well as early winged pterosaur species would have moved from continent to continent just simply because they could. Um, Probably also there were certain large deserts during this time, but not to the expanse that is sometimes portrayed in documentaries. Um there was quite a bit of the earth that was just flourishing in tropical and subtropical ecosystems. So let's see. Tenracasuchus belator would have lived in a region bordering a vast arid desert, the same setting as where the first dinosaurs emerged. It shows that in what is now southern Brazil, reptiles had already formed diverse communities adapted to various survival strategies. Moreover, this discovery reveals that such diversity was not an isolated phenomenon. So let's take a look. Is there anything else? Oh, okay. So that's it. Well, That's good to hear that we found this species of archosaur from Brazil from the early Triassic. So let's head over to the next article. What do we have here? Okay, from BBC.com. Seal pup rescued after getting stuck between rocks. Well, this is really good to hear. Hey, yeah. He's like, please. I didn't mean for this to happen. Seal was spotted on Thursday evening and rescued on Saturday morning. Jeez. Why did it take so long? A seal pup has been rescued after it got stuck down a hole between large boulders in Westray, Orkney. The animal, which was wedged in coastal defenses along or called rock armor at Rapness, was spotted on Thursday evening. British divers Marine Life Rescue made an assessment on Friday before carrying out a rescue operation on Saturday with help from a fish farm firm. Um,
I no idea what that means.
I saw a fish farm and I thought, okay, you're giving it fish because it's hungry. Then I saw firm and I'm confused. Maybe a harp seal is in charge of the firm. This animal, though, this pup looks like a gray seal. Gray seals can reach over 800 pounds in certain populations, or a little over 380 kilograms. You can find them in different parts of north of eastern Canada, so off the coast of Labrador, Quebec, Newfoundland, and possibly as far south as different coasts of Maine, as well as Massachusetts. And who else am I missing? Concord? No, it's a capital, New Hampshire. Rhode Island, possibly Connecticut,
I don't know. It feels like you're looking at me. I'm like, I don't know.
New Brunswick, and you can also find them off the coasts of like Norway, Sweden, Iceland, as well as like the Shetland Islands of Scotland, possibly a bit further south too. Anyway, let's keep going. Tom Hadley of BDMLR said the seal pup was cross. Yeah, no kidding. He's been stuck for 2 days, but later appeared to be relieved to be freed.
That's just that just sounds stupid.
Yeah.
Oh, it's
Oh.
relieved that it's now free. Okay.
Okay, so now I might understand why it took so long. Wow. Oh, those were not small rocks. Geesh, what's the seal doing here? Did a wave send him here? Anyway, a local fish farm assisted in the rescue. Okay, that's nice. He said the animal was in a really tricky spot. He told BBC Radio Scotland's Around Orkney program that it was also bitey end up. Bitty end up? Yeah. They've got a pretty serious bite. What we had to do was put someone in the hole with it, but just out of reach, and distract it with a person waving a towel, which meant it could be restrained and we could get it out. Local firm cook aquaculture assisted by lifting away a rock. Oh, it's a big rock. Is that the seal? Is that a dog? Looks like the Lorax. Is that it's Danny DeVito? The seal the seal was given a health check before being released. Hmm. Wow. He's pretty thankful. He's just looking off into the coast. Mr. Hadley said it was pretty cross with us. They don't know we're trying to help. They just see someone trying to attack them. The seal was checked for any injuries and found to be healthy. Mr. Hadley said it was a really fat, strong little seal. Gray seal power. After a moment of collecting itself, it had that kind of look in its eyes of, what on earth has happened to me? It was, oh, yeah. It was the second time in about a week BDMLR has rescued a seal from rock armor in Orkney. How are they getting there? That's what I'm wondering. Did a wave push them there? Were they doing a dare with other seals? How long can you stay alive in a crevice and see if somebody will help you out? Anyway, I'm not sure what happened here, but let's just go to the next article.
Maybe they're just crawling through and they fall.
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly how this area is structured. Anyway, so from Fuva Mula Scuba Club.
What is that name?
A rare encounter in Fuvamula, a historic moment in the Maldives. Rare orca sighting in Fuvamula, December 18th. All right, let's see. Okay. Oh, okay. So it's a female with her calf. By the way, male orcas will stay with in their pod, like the pod that they were born in for life. So let's see. Following the rare whale shark sighting recorded on December 14th, 2025, I didn't hear about that. The waters of Fuvamula Island once again delivered an extraordinary surprise. On December 18th, 2025, a pod of orcas, or killer whales, was sighted off the coast of Fuvamula, marking one of the rarest marine events ever witnessed in the Maldives. Orca sightings in Maldivian islands or Maldivian waters are exceptionally uncommon, making this moment truly historic for Fuvamula. As news spread across the island, the atmosphere was filled with excitement and joy. Local residents, fishermen, dive professionals, and visiting guests all shared in the same sense of wonder, a collective reminder of how special this island truly is. I'm not familiar with this ecosystem. thing. Um, anyway, Fuvamula's unique geographical position in the deep south of the Maldives places it directly along deep ocean currents and pelagic migration routes. Known globally as the tiger shark capital, the Maldives, the island regularly offers encounters with tiger sharks, thresher sharks, and other pelagic species. Maldives. The appearance of both whale sharks and orcas within a short period further reinforces Buvamula's status as one of the most dynamic marine ecosystems in the region. Oh, well, here's more of the pod. Hmm. The orca sighting was not just a rare marine encounter, it was a moment of shared happiness for the entire community. Guests and locals alike expressed awe, gratitude, and excitement, reinforcing the deep connection between Fuvamula and the ocean that surrounds it. Moments like these, okay, let's get a little further in. Fuvamula Scuba Club. Oh, it's this thing. Okay, seems like a giant advertisement. Okay, let's go to the next one. So from Earth.com, let's see, we got a giant anteater here. Things keep evolving into anteaters somehow, 12 times so far throughout history. That's it? You gotta remember, you have to count something like an American black bear as an anteater. Certain parts of the eastern United States, a majority of the animal protein part of their diet is ants. And yes, insects are ants, um, are animals. So let's see. Actually, same thing can go for different species of canids, different species of birds. So, but anyway, evolution often follows curious paths, especially when it comes to food. Over the past 100 million years, mammals have explored an incredible range of diets. Some mammals graze on grass, others hunt prey, a few even sip tree sap or dive for krill. But one of the strangest dietary turns comes from species that eat and depend deeply on ants and termites. So let's take a deeper look. Okay, so according to new research, mammals evolved into anteaters, eating ant and termite only diets at least 12 separate times over 66 million years. This shift, called myrmecophagy, yeah, followed the dinosaur extinction. It allowed ants and termites to thrive and opened a new food niche for mammals. I believe animals like ants and termites have been around at least since the mid Cretaceous, so around 98 to 100 million years ago. But they definitely became much larger after the dinosaurs went extinct, especially during the beginning of the Cenozoic or the Paleocene epochs, so somewhere between 55 to 66 million years ago. Findings published in Evolution underscore the outsized influence ants and termites exert on other species simply through their collective mass. There's not been an investigation into how this dramatic diet evolved across all known mammal species until now. This work gives us the first real roadmap, and what really stands out is just how powerful a selective force ants and termites have been over the last 50 million years, shaping environments and literally changing the face of entire species. Over 200 mammal species consume ants or termites occasionally, but just 20, like pangolins and anteaters, rely on them completely. Hmm. These true myrmecophages evolved long, sticky tongues and powerful claws. Many even lost their teeth. Yes, anteaters. Um, what's that other species? It's like a tree anteater. They do not have teeth. Neither do the pangolins, which are not closely related to anteaters. To track this trend, the researchers collected diet records from 4,099 species. There's a little over 4,000 species of mammals today. These came from nearly 100 years of scientific papers, field notes, and conservation reports. Compiling dietary data for nearly every living mammal was daunting, but it really illuminates the sheer diversity of diets and ecologies of the mammalian world. Small anteaters need to eat huge numbers to survive. Numbats, oh, right, these guys, these little Australian marsupials, 20 eats around 20,000 termites daily. Aardwolves? Never heard of that. Aardvarks, over in sub-Saharan Africa, these guys also do not have, tongues, and they're also not closely related to anteaters or pangolins. They're their own thing as well.
Wait, did you say they don't have tongues?
Oh, did I say that? They don't have teeth. If they're long. Aardvarks can eat over 300,000 ants in one night. Wow. Anteaters belong to the suborder Vermilingua, which literally means worm tongue, an apt name, since their tongues can extend up to 2 feet and flick in and out of their mouths up to 160 times per minute. Modern day anteaters don't have teeth, so they rely on their sticky tongues and powerful stomachs to digest the thousands of ants and termites they consume daily. Their long tubular snouts house an excellent sense of smell, which is key to locating insect nests in the wild. Despite their name, anteaters don't just eat ants, they also snack on termites. And they're careful not to destroy an entire colony. They'll feed for just a minute or two before moving on.
Didn't you tell me bears eat ants?
They do. Black bears do. I'm not so sure about brown bears. Brown bears do feed on a wide range of different species of insects in general. But when it comes to anteaters, though, um, so yes, bears do eat. Actually, I forgot about Asiatic black bears, sloth bears, sun bears. Pandas technically do. They just don't do it often. Um, what was it? So yeah, anteaters, the reason why they're able to do this is because there are just termite mounds everywhere where they're feeding on the different grasslands and just prairies of South America. So when many tend to think of South America, most just think of the Amazon rainforest. And the truth is, it's only a single ecosystem within South America, and it only covers a certain amount of the continent. You also have a wide range of, especially Brazil, possibly certain parts of Uruguay, Paraguay, that have um, a wide range of different grassland prairies, different from the prairies that you see in different parts of like northern Mexico, as well as the United States or southern Canada. Um, I believe they're not as dry as the ones up here. So let's see. Um, do- they still do get occasionally fires that help rejuvenate the region or refertilize the region. Anyway, let's see. Okay. So the team grouped species by diet, from ant only eaters to generalists. Then they mapped these onto a mammal family tree and ran evolutionary models. The 12 independent shifts to strict myrmecophagi er, yeah, happened in marsupials, monotremes, and placental mammals, but not evenly. Some groups showed more change than others. The researchers also looked back 145 million years to study the rise of ant and termite colonies. Oh, okay, so I must have been off a bit in the when they first evolved. I just remember that at least we have found preserved amber from about that time in the Cretaceous with trapped ants and termites, as well as I believe different species of wasps, bees. So it seems like bees were inhabiting the early Cretaceous as well. So this is when the first flowering plants evolved as well. During the Cretaceous, ants and termites were rare. By the Miocene, 23 million years ago, they made up over a third of insect populations. Well, it took a while, but they did it. That's actually that's pretty good. Wow, this is huge. That's interesting. There are over 2 million species of insects today, and at least by the Miocene, or 23 million years ago, it's stating here, a third of them are just insects. So, I mean, are just ants and termite species. So it's just like it doesn't seem that um, the insect, um, the insect group of animals, it's like not as there's not as much variety as you would think that there is. But this also consists of a wide different species of, or wide different types of genre, different types of species, families, even orders within this lineage. So I don't know. Maybe I'm being a little over critical. Okay, let's keep going. It's not clear exactly why ants and termites both took off around the same time. Some work has implicated the rise of flowering plants along with some of the planet's warmest temperatures during the Paleocene Eocene thermal maximum about 55 million years ago. What is clear is that their sheer biomass set off a cascade of evolutionary responses across plants and animals. It's probably a good thing, though, that a certain amount or this much of the insect lineage of animals is just ants and termites because many species of omnivores feed on them, and even other insects in general rely on them as well. Myrmecophagy arose more often from insect eating ancestors than from carnivores. But surprisingly, carnivores like dogs and bears made the switch several times too. That was a surprise. Making the leap from eating other vertebrates to consuming thousands of tiny insects daily is a major shift. Once a mammal becomes a myrmecophagy, it rarely reverts. Only one genus, Macroscelides, the elephant shrews, ever switched back to a broader diet after specializing. 8 of the 12 times mammals evolved to eat only ants or termites, just one species survived each time. Like one species was able to make it to later in time. That's unfortunate. This limited survival suggests that highly specialized creatures, while successful in their niche, may face a greater risk of extinction due to changing environments, food scarcity, or habitat disruption over time. Well, yeah, that is true. Like I said, with the bamboo lemurs, they only feed on one species of bamboo. Take away that bamboo, and they're done. Now, technically, this can also go for certain species of animals that feed on a certain type of plant, even though they feed on wide different species of that plant, like the koalas. When it comes to eucalyptus, take away just the eucalyptus family of plants in general, and the koalas um, finished as well. In some ways, specializing on ants and termites paints a species into a corner. But for now, these specialists thrive. Ants and termites now outweigh all wild mammals combined. Climate change favors species with massive colonies? Hmm. Um, is that like a colonial joke?
Maybe what it's saying is that because there's so many of them, that they have the ability to adapt.
That's got to be, yeah. There's some joke around that. Maybe, I mean, you could say that with like different species of families of dinosaurs back in the Jurassic at certain points, like different types of carnosaurs and how successful they became. But okay, we're talking about animals that live in colonies. There have been different burrowing animals. I mean, when it shifted from a lot of forests back in the Eocene, so around 40 million years ago, well, I should go even further back, like 45, 50 million years ago, to somewhere around 30 to 35 million years ago when the Oligocene occurred. Then you had this vast expanse of grasslands. All of a sudden, you had a wide range of different burrowing species, of large burrowing species of mammals, like the oreodonts. And they would also, looks like, feed on different species of grasses at the time. So, um, I don't know. That's just something I decided to throw out there. If you can't beat them, you eat them. That's funny. That idea, repeated across millions of years, has changed the face of mammals again and again. Um,
Maybe that's why we started eating chocolate covered ants.
oh, yeah. Okay, well, if you're specifically talking, yeah, ants, termites, yeah, it's true. Now, I wonder what occurred to them or these types of animals, especially during the Ice Age or the Pleistocene, because they must have had a lot of trouble, over in much of North America, Europe, Asia, even different parts of probably, forgot Antarctica. There aren't any insects in Antarctica. So if it becomes extremely cold, the ants termites die out.
Wait, who has the mosquitoes?
Arctic. So now, did they occur in the Mammoth Steppe though, because it was much drier back then and wasn't like the humid, extremely humid, mossy tundra of today? That's a big question that I'm still wondering about. Now, let's see. I think that's it with these ants. Oh, okay. Well, real quick. Okay, so from BBC.com, first waterfalls spotted in river in decades. That is great news for these rodents. Look at him. He looks so accomplished. He is proud of the grasses that he has discovered. River Thame Conservation Trust volunteers said the new sightings brought real hope that water voles are still clinging on. The conservation team has confirmed sightings of Britain's fastest declining mammal, the water vole, in a river's catchment area for the first time in nearly 20 years. River Thame Conservation Trust volunteers captured video evidence of the species at two sites on the River Thame near Cheersley, Buckinghamshire, and another at the Chalgrove Brook in Stadhampton, Oxfordshire. The footage was gathered using motion sensor wildlife cameras placed across the catchment area and is part of the Trust's long running monitoring project to detect signs of water voles and other key river species. Yeah, this is really good to hear. I mean, they are essential for this ecosystem. I mean, they're really important for, fox protein supplements. And anyway, let's keep going. RTCT said that was sparking hope for the species recovery in the catchment. Also, badger protein supplements too. The trust said the first sighting had come in the form of a dramatic video clip at the Cheersley site. It shows a heron on the riverbank catching and eating two water voles. Oh, I forgot. He also uses them as protein supplement. Herons, those guys, they seem obviously like, at first glance, there's something off about them. And yeah, they will attempt to swallow like swamp rabbits whole. So, um, and now they're mostly fish eaters. They'll also feed on different species of frogs, toads, and yes, they'll go after small species of rodents, even medium-sized species of rodents like the small rabbits. But anyway, while the footage was not nice
You
to
just call a rabbit a rodent?
oh, lagomorphs, still medium-sized species of lagomorphs. It was also an exciting discovery, evidence of previously undetected water voles in the Thame catchment. And we are talking about rodents that only weigh a few ounces at most, maybe less. It
Oh,
said,
wait, they're that small?
yeah, depending on the species, there are voles also over in different parts of North America, but this is over in England. So, yeah, maybe less than half an ounce in some cases, but yeah, definitely depending on the species, a
Not
few
that
ounces.
thing holding the grass.
Oh, yeah, okay, this might be a larger species. I might be thinking of, was it a meadow vole? But that's over in Canada, so that's a different species. Let me see. It said herons present alongside water voles signaled that the river is once again able to support a healthy, functioning food web. You're seeing violence in the rivers. Okay, we're I don't know how to respond to that. Um, that's kind of deranged. I mean, I know the heron has to eat, but different volunteer captured footage of a water vole swimming away from a mink monitoring raft deployed on the Chowgrove Brook, confirming that at least one animal there was alive and active. Jeez, the heron was eating his whole family, and then it was I don't know what he's doing, but he better move. Paul Jeffrey, RTCT volunteer and Oxen Mammal Group treasurer, said regular visitors, including a brown rat, wood mice, and two otters. Oh, geez, the The otters are feeding on the voles as well. They're quite carnivorous too. Many just tend to think of them feeding on fish, different species of crustaceans. They're going after the rodents too.
Wouldn't the otter be dangerous for the bird?
Uh, yeah. I mean, they can feed on a heron. But one evening, 1,000 clips later, I stopped. What was that? Or what was that? The face was more blunt than a rat. The ears and eyes were not quite right. Maybe his name is Timon. Confirmed the next day was indeed a water vole moving upstream at 1 o'clock. Mr. Jeffrey said that brought real hope that water voles are still clinging on and may one day repopulate the whole river system with our continued help. Yeah, if this individual finds another group because the herons are eating his people. Anyway, the species numbers has have crashed by more than 90% since the 1990s. Is it people or is it the herons? Anyway, water voles was once a common sight along Britain's rivers, streams, and wetlands before vanishing from 94% of former sites. RTCT's Hillary Phillips said the recent findings were a fantastic affirmation of all the hard work by volunteers and landowners, almost said lawnmowers, that our combined efforts are making a difference. The Trust said that in the River Thame catchment, the last confirmed records of surviving water voles dated back to the early 2000s, but populations were known to be dwindling at the time. In an attempt to boost their numbers, a reintroduction effort was carried out near Cadetson and Chiselhampton in 2006. RTCT said it was not known whether the recently discovered specimens were from the reintroduced voles or the remnants of native populations. It encourages members of the public to report any sightings of water voles and signs of American mink to local conservation groups or through national invasive species platforms such as INNS Mapper.
Aren't minks little violent things?
Oh yeah, they'll feed on voles. Yeah, they're not supposed to be here, so it's unfortunate that you can't just turn that thing into a hat. Anyway, or maybe gloves would be better. Yeah, or or good coat. Those can look like really good coats. Oh, okay. Those herons though, they're always freaky. Storks in some cases can be worse if there's not a rabbit involved. Storks, like what they'll do is there are these instances in the soda lakes over in Africa where all the flamingos are inhabiting and they're munching on the shrimp. But there was a video where there was this weak young flamingo that was barely, I think, I'm not sure if he was walking or just barely. I mean, he was alive, but just barely moving on the lake. And there's a stork, one of those Malibu storks behind him, and it kept pecking at his side. And I'm thinking, because I was watching this because I was going over like different pterosaur biomechanics, especially with like the largest arched pterosaurs like Quetzalcoatlus, Hatzegopteryx. So these were animals with over um, 35 foot long wingspans, somewhere between 9 to 11 meters. And at the end of the video, the stork had or ended up, I think, literally piercing into the flamingo and pulling out his intestines. Yeah, so they don't just feed on catfish occasionally or go up to a rotting carcass. They'll actively hunt. Anyway, from ScienceDaily.com. Hippos once roamed frozen Germany with mammoths. Yes, this is very true. New research shows that hippos lived in Central Europe tens of thousands of years longer than previously thought. Ancient DNA and radiocarbon dating confirmed they survived in Germany's Upper Rhine Graben during a milder ice age phase. So this is probably referring to a time when the glaciers had receded a bit, so it was a constant back and forth with the different warming and cooling events of the Pleistocene epoch or the Ice Age, so for around 2 million years. Closely related to modern African hippos, I believe they are of the same genus. It was just a different species, larger than today's African hippos. They share the landscape with cold adapted giants like mammoths. The finding rewrites Ice Age history and suggests regional climates were far more diverse. Uh, okay, so let's see. This is at the Rice Engelhorn Museum. I think it's referring to museum. A hippo reconstruction meets a mammoth skeleton. Yeah, so this hippo, he's not part of the art. He's actually a full blown model. So let's see. Hippos, now found only in sub Saharan Africa, managed to survive in Central Europe far longer than anyone previously believed. A new analysis of ancient bones show that hippos lived in the Upper Rhine Graben between about 47,000 and 31,000 years ago, during the depths of the last ice age. The findings come from an international research team led by the University of Potsdam and the Rice Engelhorn Museum Mannheim in collaboration with the Kurt Engelhorn Zentrum Archometry, and were recently published in Current Biology. Until recently, scientists thought the common Hippopotamus amphibius, disappeared from Central Europe roughly 115,000 years ago. Oh, this wasn't hitting me. So it was, that far back. I remember um, noting that these guys existed and not later on, when the last interglacial period ended. However, the new study conducted by researchers from the University of Potsdam, let's see, Rice Engelhorn, Musi Mannheim, Kurt Engelhorn, Zentrum, Archimetry Mannheim, and ETH Zurich, and several international partners, reveals that hippos actually persisted in the Upper Rhine Graben of southwestern Germany tens of thousands of years later, well into the middle of the last ice age. The Upper Rhine Graben serves as a vital record of ancient climate conditions. Animal bones,
I'm sorry, that was a lot to say to get to that.
yeah, yeah, it was. Animal bones buried for millennia in layers of gravel and sand offer rare windows into the past. It's amazing how well the bones have been preserved and many skeletal remains. It was possible to take samples suitable for analysis. That is not a given after such a long time. Researchers examined numerous hippopotamus fossils using both genetic and radiocarbon dating methods. Ancient DNA sequencing revealed that these Ice Age hippos were closely related to modern African populations and were part of the same species. Radiocarbon dating confirmed their presence during a warmer phase of the Middle Weissachlian glaciation, when conditions temporarily allowed the animals to survive in Central Europe. Further genome wide analysis showed that the European hippo population had extremely low genetic diversity. Whoa, oh, geez, they were able to figure that out? I wonder why. This actually, it's not just the hippo that this occurred to back in the Ice Age. There's also been different mammoth populations that this occurred to, and not just towards the end of the Ice Age, like even much earlier. Possibly like even different what was it, lion or rhino populations, like over in maybe either certain parts of North America or Asia. So this is interesting, suggesting it was both small and geographically isolated. Fossil evidence also revealed that these warm adapted hippos lived alongside cold climate animals such as mammoths and woolly rhinoceroses, an unusual ecological mix that highlights the complexity of Ice Age environments. The results demonstrate that hippos did not vanish from Middle Europe at the end of the last interglacial, as previously assumed. Therefore, we should reanalyze other continental European hippofossils traditionally attributed to the last interglacial period. So let's see. Um, is there anything else? Um, hmm, that's it. Okay. Well, this is good to see with the hippos that they actually existed over in Europe, especially in Germany, far longer than it was previously documented. Like originally, it was somewhere around 115, 120,000 years ago. Now they might have been there as recent as 31,000 years ago. So that's good to hear. It is mysterious as to why they went extinct at that point, because you still had another 20,000 years where animals would still be populating Ice Age Europe, different parts, Ice Age Asia, North America, and they went extinct. It's kind of like with the extinction over in Australia with the megafauna, with the giant marsupials down there. Like you had wombats larger than um, rhinos within the region, so over or pushing 3 tons. So, okay, let's go on to this final article from discovermagazine.com. The world's smallest marsupial is a bloodthirsty carnivore. Meet the plenigal, the world's smallest marsupial with a big spirit. Though she be okay, never mind. Let's keep going. Okay, so this is the plenigal tilli. Hey, is that locust is huge? I mean, not locust. I think it's grasshopper, possibly. It's huge amongst them. Anyway, it resembles a mouse with big round ears and the tiniest little pouch to hold its young, but this isn't your average rodent. In fact, it's the world's smallest marsupial, yet it should never be underestimated. The long tailed Flenegal is an itty bitty but fierce carnivorous mammal found in Australia and Papua New Guinea. Lynette Umbrello is a biologist at the Western Australian Museum who has spent her career studying the platygal, a tiny creature that makes its home down under. The smallest species can reach about the size of half a mouse. Oh, yeah, that's specific. There are several different species of mice, so we have no idea. Guessing this thing is like a couple of ounces, probably less. And the largest, about three times that. There's different species of platygal. There are currently seven recognized Platygal species, and more are being discovered each year. Last year alone, Umbrella and her team discovered and published on two new varieties of Planigals: the orange headed Pilbara Planigal, known as Planigal kendricki, and the cracking clay Pilbara Planigal, known as Planigal tilii. I've always been most interested in the smallest marsupials. They're super feisty and they deserve some attention. Don't let its size fool you. The Punagal doesn't want to be your friend. This tiny carnivore is fierce and skilled at surviving where other creatures cannot, in dry grasslands and deserts. Um, it feeds off of insects and small lizards or whatever it can kill and fit in its tiny tummy. I wonder if it has a really fast metabolism like different species of shrew, but doesn't seem to be a semi-aquatic animal. Whereas different, like the species of shrew with like the highest metabolism is. So possibly, I'm guessing it has to feed consistently though. But like how quick of like a napping scenario are we looking at? Does it only nap for a couple of minutes, or that's a big question. These insectivores love centipedes, spiders, grasshoppers, moths, and beetles, which they grab with their caramel colored claws, often under the darkness of night. It's not just their size that makes the Platygal special, it's the shape of their head. Their heads are really, really flat from the nose to the back of the head, and that allows them to squish themselves into tiny crevices to hide from predators. Oh, it's true. I mean, this thing could easily be taken by something like a quoll or maybe a dingo, certain species of hawk in the region. To avoid the harsh sun of Australia's desert grasslands, they hide in cracks formed in the arid desert. Brought over by settlers in the 1800s to hunt rats on ships, feral cats thrived, living on an island full of species that were not adapted to escape them. The Platygal has had the same fate and often falls prey to cats and foxes. Yeah, those guys are extremely irritating. They're some of the worst predators within Australia, as well as the feral dogs, the cane toads in the area. There's certain other feral species of carnivore within Australia as well. They decimated the native marsupials because they didn't know how to hide from them properly. Well, it's not just that, they can't fight them. And they don't have an instinct to just eradicate the cats and the foxes, the dogs. So, oh, there's more? Nocturnal and on the move, they've long been called marsupial mice. That thing looks pretty distinct from a mouse. Yeah, that's not the same thing. That's a very distinct narrow head. It is flat though. I can see what it means by that. Even the feet are very unique. If anything, maybe the um, tail is probably a bit closer to a rat in some instances, but I'd say it's that
That thing
fat.
looks long.
Yeah,
That tail go I mean,
but it can't be too long because that insect is huge compared to it. He's probably going to still be starving after that. So, they have the signature marsupial pouch to prove it. Females birth on average 6 babies per litter, carrying them around their pouch for a few months before they're able to survive on their own in the wild. Most babies are weaned from their moms within 4 months. Well, we don't know a whole lot about their conservation status because they haven't been given the attention of some of the other better known marsupials like kangaroos, wombats, and koalas. Researchers think that the two newly discovered species are probably quite common.
Why are those the only marsupials they ever name?
Well, they're not even being specific. They're a different species of wombat. Koalas, though, um, there's just one species of koala. But when it comes to kangaroos, there's also 60 different species of macropod, which is a family of marsupials that kangaroos belong to. Okay, we also don't know specifically where in Australia or Papua New Guinea, especially Australia, these uh, flanganis and planigali exist. So really, all you would have to do is I guess put out, things like, these kangaroos are dying in some part of Australia, and people would want to help, and that specific area where this marsupial exists, and that should help it. Anyway, just my theory. Some of the other species, however, are more restricted due to their smaller habitats, which makes them rarer. Still, their conservation status is yet unknown due to habitation degradation and introduced predators like foxes and feral cats. Planigali is another fascinating mammal that Umbrello says makes the continent quite special. From quokkas to Tasmanian devils to wombats, and now this tiny, feisty carnivore, Australia is home to so many creatures unique to the continent. Okay, well, this is good to see that this thing exists, but we have no idea like where it is. Australia is, the size of the lower 48. So I mean, it's a big question. It looks like based on what was it, the soil around the area that it caught the grasshopper, that it's probably in one of the desert regions. So who knows? It could be the Northern Territory, it could be Central Australia, it could be West Australia, certain desert areas of Victoria. It's really a big question. So I hope you enjoyed this live stream. And for Prehistoric to Presence, my name is Ethan. This is Creature Guide Live Daily News. Remember to like, comment, type if you love talking about animals, and share this show with everyone you know because nothing is